White Sox baseball on CSN Chicago is presented by State Farm. The sun is out, beautiful blue sky overhead, and free t-shirt Thursday today as the Sox take on the Minnesota Twins in Game 2 of an abbreviated series. Thanks for joining us once again. Jason Benetti, Steve Stone along with you, and the Twins in that 7-2 win a couple of nights ago got a big contribution from the 9 spot.
Byron Buxton had a whale of a night. He had 3 hits, and over the course of this year, he's hitting just 188, but you'd never know it by how well he's handled Sox pitching. There you see Tuesday night, the 3 hits. He drove in 1, he scored 1, but overall, he's been absolutely brilliant against our boys. For whatever reason, he seems to have found the magic. And when you take a look at his body of work, the 14 games against our Sox, hitting .333 with 5 home runs, 7 doubles. He's got all kinds of speed. He's driven in 14. He scored 14. So at least against our Sox, he's very good. And Miguel Sano, who sat out the first game because of a suspension, is back in the lineup with his 8 home runs, 28 driven in, and 300 batting average. Gives him a little thump along with Dozier.
Sox are looking at Derek Holland to be the stopper tonight, and he's been the most consistent starter this year.
Derek Holland has been throwing the ball exceptionally well. He really backs the right-handers off the plate. Throws a lot of off-speed breaking balls. He's using the changeup a lot more, and it's worked for him. Last time out against Kansas City, he was brilliant. 6 2/3 with 1 earned run. However, this Minnesota team has given him some problems over the course of his career. He's under .500 against them.
Something to chew on tonight. His opposition, Phil Hughes for the Twins.
Phil Hughes has great control, and he's 4-1 this year, which is pretty good. Against our Sox, historically, he's done a nice job. 6 starts this year. The ERA at 4.32. The innings pitched. He gets everything over the plate. Opponent's batting average at 290. That's a very high number, leading to a lot of runs, but at least for him, it seems to work.
Sox and Twins. Sox are looking for the split in this series after the rain out yesterday. Grab a snack. Enjoy the ball game.
Chicago is brought to you in part by Toyota. The Toyota Time Sales Event ends May 31st. Hurry in today. Toyota, let's go places. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois. Through it all. By Lexus, who encourages you to experience amazing. And by Miller Lite, the original light beer. Miller Lite, hold true.
Bright blue sky overhead at Guaranteed Rate Field. This is game 2 of now a 5-game homestand after the rain out last night. Sox and Twins, with the Sox trying to split this 2-game series. And Paul Molitor, the 3,000-plus hit man, the manager of the Minnesota Twins, has this team playing very good baseball after a tough start last year. They are 16-14 and breathing down the neck of first-place Cleveland as they try to take another series against the Sox here in this ballpark. The only series the Sox have won in this season series came at Target Field last month. Starting lineup for Minnesota, which is middle of the road, 246 as a team, batting average-wise. They get Dozier back, coming back from the ankle injury. He sat out 2 nights ago. Grossman and Sano back in the lineup as well. Sano after a 1-game suspension. Polanco, Mauer, Escobar, Jimenez, Rosario, and Buxton.
Let's take a look at the defense and how they're going to line up behind Derek Holland. It's Melky, Liuri, and Abasail in the outfield with Matt Davidson, Tim Anderson, Tyler Saladino, Jose Abreu in the infield. Omar Narvaez gets the nod behind the plate. And our Lexus Experience amazing starting pitcher is Derek Holland, who's thrown it very well. A minuscule ERA of 2.02, looking for his 4th win. There you look at the rest of the numbers. Left-handers have done absolutely nothing with him. Right-handers haven't done a great deal, but better. The umpires for the game tonight. Jerry Lane, the crew chief behind the plate. Toby Bassner's at first, Dan Bellino at second, and Marvin Hudson is at third. Ricky Renteria's got his team playing hard, and that's one of the things that he want to implement is hustle every minute. If you don't, you hear from him. If you do, you don't hear anything from him, which is the way most managers like it. So they've thrown the ball around the infield, and that means that it's ready for Brian Dozier, coming back from an ankle injury, to get his first at bat. So, Jason, we're all counting on you.
Thank you, Steve. Hopefully I don't mess it up too bad. Sox Twins game 2 of the series. Rain out yesterday. That'll be played as part of a straight doubleheader on August the 21st, in case you're keeping up with the calendar and you're scribbling in the changes in your pocket schedule. That will be played on the 21st of August. Derek Holland, Brian Dozier, and lo and behold, Dozier swings at the first pitch of the game.
He just loves a first ball fastball, and last night would have been a good one to get in. Unfortunately, Mother Nature said no, but neither Dozier nor Sano were in the starting lineups last night. That's how you want to play this team, although it didn't work great the first game.
Dozier maybe was the biggest beneficiary from that rain out yesterday. Needed the extra day. He rolled his ankle fielding a ball a couple of days ago. Last game was 6 days ago for Dozier. Big rip and a strike. Holland now 1-2 on Dozier.
And that is the ever-present shift. Dozier is a dead pull hitter, but he will occasionally take the ball to the right side, and only Jose Abreu is home.
Just missed the inside. Now 2-2.
Omar wants it inside. Derek got it there, but it was too far inside, and a good call by Jerry Lane.
Dozier last year and the last couple years has been among the league leaders in terms of pull side hits and pull side batted balls. What's interesting is the 9 spot in the order, Buxton, he is second most in terms of pull batted balls this year. So you have 9 and 1 together in the lineup, both hitting in relatively the same spots on the field. 2-2.
I know Paul Molitor was very happy the final at bat for Buxton 2 nights ago. He actually took a pitch that was low, just off the outside part of the plate, and he shot it into right field, which is something that they're trying to get him to do. If he can do a little more of that, he's probably going to be in pretty good shape.
His team has even so hit the ball fairly well this year. They're top 10 in on base percentage as Dozier goes down, as Holland took something off for strike 3 on the leadoff batter tonight.
This is what a veteran pitcher can do. He can throw you a pitch, you might be looking for it, but if he takes something off, you're going to be well out ahead of it. That was a slider, and he took a little something off and had Dozier way out in front.
So one down for Robbie Grossman, who has been a dangerous hitter wherever he's shown up in the lineup for the Twins in the last year or so. They picked him up midstream last season and were very pleased with the former Astros ability.
He swung that very well against our boys.
He is 5 of 12 career, the 27-year-old Grossman, 5 of 12 against Derek Holland all time. But Derek has been outstanding this year for the Sox. A 2.02 ERA. He's on a run of 6 straight starts with 2 or fewer earned runs allowed.
What I like about what he's done won't necessarily show up in the stat sheets, but he doesn't allow a whole lot of solid contact. And if you're working both sides of the plate, and he loves to throw the ball into the right-hand hitters, but if you're working both sides and you can't see the hitters barreling it up, then you know you're probably going to have a pretty good ball game, and in the case of Derek Holland, a very good year.
There's ball 4 from Holland, just his 13th walk of the year, so there's a runner on for the dangerous Miguel Sano. Beautiful lagoon-colored sky overhead after the deluge yesterday.
I didn't think it'd ever stop raining, and it turned out to be a very wise postponement of the game. It was relatively early, and then it just kept on raining. So make up for it today with a gorgeous day, and it's going to get warmer over the weekend.
San Diego's coming to town. It better get warmer. Sano clobbers that ball foul. Miguel Sano is having a mighty fine season. He's the team leader in runs scored and home runs and runs driven in and walks, strikeouts too, but boy, has he lined up the baseball very well.
I got to believe one of the big factors for Sano is that the experiment putting him in right field failed miserably because he's not a right fielder. He's a third baseman, and now that he's back there, he's got a certain amount of comfort. Is he the best defensive third baseman? Not by a long shot, but if he's more comfortable there and can swing the bat like he's swinging it now, almost an RBI per game. If he can do that, then they'll live with his defense at third because he can produce a lot of runs.
He and Vargas together are two of the biggest guys you can put back to back in the middle of an order, just stature wise. Sano is actually the league leader in batting average on balls in play, or BABIP as they say. His batting average on balls in play this year is .440, and part of that is because he's just crushing the ball.
We'll talk a little bit about BABIP after this pitch and why his is as high as it is. It's that because he hits the ball hard, he can hit a ball on the ground that other hitters wouldn't get a base hit on. He does because of the exit velocity. He's among the league's best every year at exit velocity, and that really affects line drives as well as ground balls through the infield.
Yeah, maybe even more so ground balls, as you're saying.
Yeah, because you know you can hit it out, hit it 460 or 405. It really doesn't matter. It's out. But the difference in the ball shooting through the infield with an exit velocity of 100, say, is phenomenal, because if it's not hit at somebody or a step to either side, it's going to go through.
Grossman at first, one down, and Sano hammers that ball foul.
Sano had all of the exit velocity records as far as the Twins are concerned until Vargas hit that line drive rocket a couple of nights ago. That went almost 115 miles an hour. Exit velocity. That's pretty stout.
The Hyundai sign was quaking in its boots in right field.
Yeah, it was a vicious line drive.
2-2 again. He lays off nicely. So now 3-2. And this is a Minnesota team that sees a lot of pitches early in the year. They've been very patient.
I think that's a radical departure from years past where they had a lineup. Pretty much everybody has that nose-to-toe strike zone. They swung at just about everything. Now a little more selective.
3-2. Very close. Didn't get the call. Could have been strike 3 and wasn't. So 2 walks to bring up Polanco.
Obviously, every pitcher wants this. It's especially important for Derek Holland. Now, granted, that ball looked like it might have been a touch up or a touch in, but he hopes that Jerry Lane is going to call that inside corner because he's going to stay there a good portion of the night against right-hand hitters. If you're not getting that call, then you have to come out over the plate. That's a trouble spot.
So here's Polanco, who has swung a hot bat. He's on a 5-game hit streak right now. Anderson at shortstop trying to start 2, and he does. 6. No, he doesn't. The pass incomplete to first, and 2 down.
I am a little surprised Grossman didn't score. So this part of it is good. Saladino gets the throw off. It's up the line, but Jose just missed it. And by the way, something new these days, you can actually charge an error on that. It used to be that you can't anticipate a double play being made. Now, if the official scorer thinks that the ball should have been handled, he can charge whoever it is with an error.
And that indeed does go on the board as an error.
Yeah. I mean, he should have caught it.
So a free out for a good bat handler in Joe Mauer. And he takes a called strike. No, he had him beat by a step and a half at first.
Yeah, he's out. All you got to do is catch it, but unfortunately he didn't.
And Mauer makes the Sox pay. 1-0 Minnesota.
RBI number 14 for Joe Mauer, who does what he does best, which is go to left center field and drive home a run. We've seen him in the leadoff spot. Now we're seeing him in the middle of the order where he has to be a run producer, and so the run that shouldn't have scored does, and the Twins have the lead.
So Derek Holland now has allowed 16 total runs all year. Half of those runs have been unearned. He has been dinged by the defense more than any other Sox starter.
It's very much of a streak. Sometimes you get away with it, and sometimes you go in a streak where you're not getting away with anything. That happened in Baltimore.
Over the long haul, it's going to be more you don't get away with it than you do.
There is no doubt. Especially with a team, if you're playing a team that doesn't have a lot of thunder in that lineup or a team that's really struggling offensively, you can give them another out occasionally. But the good teams or the teams that are playing well, and Minnesota seems to be falling into that category, you open the door for them, more times than not, they're going to charge through it.
It especially stings when you've got Joe Mauer as the guy who's the next guy that you're giving an extra at-bat to, because wherever the power has gone for Mauer, he still can swing the bat.
Well, he should be, because he does make contact. He should be a prolific run producer. He's never really been over the course of his career, but Twins are hoping that this year's the magic year for him.
So the Twins, who didn't get a base runner until there were 2 out in the 3rd in the series opener, get a run across on 2 walks, an error, and a single here in the 1st, and that's got to be music to the ears of the Hall of Famer in the Twins dugout.
I talked with Paul about managing because this is his first managerial job, and I asked him his philosophy, because he was a great player. It doesn't mean you're going to make a great manager. But he said he listens a lot, and he listens to the people that are around him, are there to help him.
That is a long fly ball to left field, and the former Sox player Eduardo Escobar has really made it hurt in the 1st inning.
4 quick ones. It's 7 extra pitches so far and 4 extra runs. Ford home run replay. Derek tries to get that one inside more. Escobar enjoyed both the location and the velocity and rides it out of the park for his 4th home run.
So the former Sox infielder, very well liked, except for right now, makes it 4-0 in the first. And he looks like he's 11 years old next to Miguel Sano. It continues. Chris Jimenez with a 2-out single.
At this point, it's 8 extra pitches, and Don Cooper making an early trip to the mound.
As a pitcher, you know that you have to pitch over problems sometimes.
Yeah.
You know it when you go out there, but it still is in your head, right?
Maybe for a younger pitcher, I don't think that Derek Holland, I don't think the runs he's given up were a direct result of him still thinking about the play that wasn't made, because pitchers can't do that, because it's history at that point, and you just have to get out of it and hope that things work out well. But what happens, and a lot of people don't appreciate this as much as it should, when you don't make plays, your pitcher is probably going to work an inning less than he would normally have worked, because the pitches will pile up much more quickly. There's Eduardo, who was a very well-liked teammate with the White Sox, and the same can be said with the Twins, because they love him over there.
What a boost for Phil Hughes. The offense has given him with the extra out handed over. Now Rosario with strike 1. Eddie Rosario, who's got a hit in 17 of his last 18 games. One of the rare lefty-lefty matchups in this lineup. Just 2 left-handed bats against Holland. So now you end up a 31-pitch inning, as you're talking about.
It's 10 extra pitches. It should have been 20, 21 pitches and in the dugout. It didn't work out that way, but there's nothing you can do about the physical errors. You just have to limit the mental ones.
2 strikes. Big chopper. Abreu at first lays down the tag, and that will do it for Minnesota. But 4 runs come across. 4-0 Twins after a half inning, and Hughes to the bump after this. At the top of the card once again, then Saladino and Abreu. Avi Garcia trying to bounce back from an 0 for 4 in the opener. Frazier DHs Davidson into 3rd. Anderson bats 7th. Narvaez and Garcia number 9.
Let's take a look at how they're going to line up defensively for Paul Molitor. Rosario, Buxton, and Grossman in the outfield with Sano, Polanco, Dozier, and Maurer in the infield. Chris Jimenez behind the plate. And our Lexus experienced amazing starting pitcher is Phil Hughes. He's 4-1, off to a great start this year. He very rarely walks people, 6 and 33 1/3. You see left-handers have hit him pretty hard, and he has allowed 5 homers. He will allow a lot of home runs, but with his control, they're usually solo shots.
Former first-round pick of the Yankees 13 years ago will face another former Yankee, Melky Cabrera, here in the bottom of the first. And a strike thrown by Hughes. Well, Hector Santiago was quite good the other night for Minnesota. Irvin Santana has been outstanding at the beginning of the year. As Melky hits it on the ground, and Polanco throws him out for the first out of the game for the Sox.
Starting rotation can be iffy, but it's getting better. Their problems will come out of the bullpen. And last year, the bullpen had the highest earned run average in the American League. So they were hoping to help that out some, but it's pretty much the same pen as you look at Neil Allen, the pitching coach. They lost their closer, Glenn Perkins.
Ryan O'Rourke, a good middle relief guy as well, is down.
And Tyler Duffy threw it very well. He's one of the keys to that bullpen, along with Matt Belisle.
Calling a strike on Saladino, now 27 years old. Did have an RBI in the series opener. Sox took the lead in that game 2-0, but Minnesota now has scored 11 unanswered in this series. Sox come in at .235 batting average wise. That's 23rd in baseball. The on-base percentage is .297 as a team, 26th.
Hughes has started to cut his fastball, so he's using more straight changes. He's cutting his fastball some. He's always had a good overhand hook that he could get over the plate. And that's really one of the reasons why he's been as successful as he has been, because he can paint on both sides of the plate and usually throw that breaking ball over when he wants to.
You mentioned the changeups. There was a start earlier this year back in April when he just didn't have the feel for the changeup at all. His next start got pushed back by rain, so he went into the bullpen in between starts and worked with Neil Allen, just basically threw changeups in one session, 25 to 30 of them, to get the feel for it. And he has basically doubled his changeup output this year as compared to his career stuff.
Well, that will make any kind of pitch away look a little further away as he buzzed the tower up and in.
Objects in your chin are closer than they appear. So where do you go back to on 3-2 then after you do that?
Outside fastball he's going to use.
He did, and he got him. 2 down. Check out our picks to click for tonight. You can vote online at whitesox.com/pick-to-click. Cruz got the lead with 4. Steve and I are hot on their tails. Anderson and Cabrera for us tonight. And the fans go Jose Abreu, who's walking up to the plate right now.
You know, it is early yet. And I've been trying to work on the picks to click to get a little more consistent. I have not been able to. No consistency.
Well, you know, baseball is a game of chance, and a game where consistency sometimes eludes you.
But I'm thinking, well, I've always been a second half pick to click guy.
Have you? I have not read the pick to click splits or game notes recently, so
Yeah,
thank you for the update.
Yeah, as the weather heats up, so do I.
Somebody leave the cliche cabinet open tonight?
That's it.
Uh-oh. 2 strikes on Abreu from Hughes. And he got him. Breaking ball, strike 3. Hughes with a very clean first inning. 4-0 Minnesota. Special guest coming your way. Well, maybe not special. Dan Hayes. Follow Dan Hayes, our White Sox insider, all season long on CSNChicago.com. Presented by The Great Escape. Pools, patio furniture, hot tubs, and more. Escape your everyday. Shop The Great Escape. Dan Hayes in his nice fleece here today. Thanks for stopping by.
Absolutely.
So the Sox bullpen has been dealing with some injuries. You have some updates for us?
Absolutely. Two of the three guys who are down, Nate Jones and Zach Putnam, both played catch today. Jones started yesterday, so it's baby steps, and obviously these things are very tricky, but Putnam worked really hard to get there. We talked to him about that. Did double days of physical therapy, 2.5 hours each session, went home to Ann Arbor while the White Sox were on the road, and basically feels very good about where he is at. Obviously, he's got right elbow inflammation, but he felt good enough to go out and play catch today. He got cleared by the doctor yesterday, so he is on the upswing, and Nate Jones is probably a little ahead just given that his absence wasn't as long. And you can tell, with him right away last week, he was feeling good because he was very concerned that he was having another issue, and he'd had Tommy John already.
Any update on rehab assignments or when this might happen, timetable-wise?
That's still up in the air. I think just the fact that they're at flat ground and, Putnam was 60 feet today and then got to 45. So he was encouraged, but he said it's going to go day by day with him depending on how he's feeling.
James Shields was throwing very well, and unfortunately he's on a disabled list. Any news with him?
Since he was shut down last week, there's been nothing new. We talked to Rick Rennery about that today, and he said there is nothing new. James Shields had played catch a couple times. The lat wasn't responding, so they decided to shut him down. And he was disappointed at the time. Haven't seen him since the road trip. But
Buxton beats this out. He got there before Holland, and there's the speed from the 23-year-old Twin center fielder.
It was going to be a very close play when this ball was squibbed to the right side. And Buxton beat it out, but the head-first dive. He was fortunate to come away unscathed because hurting your hand, your wrist, your elbow or shoulder can certainly happen. Now he's out at first base. So the question is, and I think that Ricky Renteria will ask the umps to take a look at it. I think when they do in New York, this is going to be a fairly quick resolution, and Buxton will have a seat.
So we will find out. This is under review, but I agree with you. That's going to be an out once they come back with the verdict. But Derek Holland's on the mound, Dan Hayes, and he is a big wrestling aficionado.
Right.
And he has contributed in part to this thing that the Sox clubhouse is doing.
Yeah, absolutely. After every victory, they have this wild celebration, and it's been kind of documented. We talked to Rick Renneria about it, and Melky Cabrera gets very involved. Apparently, from Melky's perspective, from Rick Renneria's perspective, Melky is the Chuck Barris of the entire party, and it's this wild scene where.
And there's the out. So Buxton is retired. So one away here in the second.
But anytime they win, they get together as a group and they figure out who is the player of the day. And Derek Holland purchased this wrestling belt. It's a replica WWE belt. And by the way, that's Big John Cass on the left. That's Roman Reigns. That's AJ Styles and Enzo, who are all part of the celebration also. And what they have is they give this belt out to the player of the day. But apparently, pitchers were complaining the hitters want it too much. Hitters were saying the same about pitchers. So they also have a mini belt that they now hand out in this whole thing. But Melky plays a big role. Apparently, Todd Frazier described him as the dictator when it comes to picking the winner of the day. Basically, they come up with a couple of guys, and then Melky just takes it over and hosts and makes a big kind of to-do about it.
You are an intrepid reporter. You've turned into a big wrestling fan this season too. How about that?
It's been, it's been magical.
Educational and magical, I would say. That ball is drilled, and Brian Dozier has left the ballpark. It's 5-0 Minnesota.
That's his 5th home run. He's now driven in 11, and that was a no-doubter. The aforementioned Melky just had to look up.
So 5-0 Minnesota. Dan, thank you for stopping by.
Thanks
Always a
for
pleasure.
having me, guys.
Good stuff. You can follow him online, CSNChicago.com. Dan does some great work. And there's your Ford home run replay. It's Brian Dozier.
And there it is. A majestic, towering fly ball that was well out of here.
That ball is cracked by Robbie Grossman. Garcia is there for out number 2. You, I take it you're not a big WWE fan right now. You know Roman Reigns and Enzo?
Yes, Enzo and I are very tight.
You are?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's, and I still believe that it's a sport. These guys are terrific athletes, by the way. I know that, there's a lot of showmanship to everything that they do, but they really are wonderful athletes.
You date back to the classy Freddie Blassie days, don't you?
Oh, and
your wrestling fandom?
Yeah, George the Animal Steele.
I met George the Animal Steele once. He came to AAA Syracuse when I was working there as a radio announcer, and he was the nicest guy in the world. Really, truly nice. Didn't bite any heads off turnbuckles, nothing like that. Well, we didn't have a turnbuckle, so we didn't know.
Parks are notorious for their absence of turnbuckles.
Yeah, AAA especially, when you get to the majors, there might be a turnbuckle or two, but AAA
no.
is trying to save a little cash. Ball is low to Miguel Sano, Minnesota, with a couple of homers in this game. The Twins, just 34 homers coming in. That was tied for 22nd in the majors, but 2 so far tonight already. Sox are trying to break their longest losing streak of the season at 4 games right now. Sano to right field. Avi is back, and he has no play. It's another one. 3rd homer for Minnesota in the first 2 innings.
It was a pleasure, the opening game of the series, to see a Minnesota lineup that did not contain Miguel Sano. But he is back, making his presence felt as he has all year long. Opposite field, he got a rolling breaking ball and rides it out of the yard. His 9th, he's driven in 29. Pretty amazing, those power numbers and the runs batted in, when you consider his team is just in their 31st game and he's driven in 29 runs.
His league-leading BABIP is still untouched with a walk and a home run. That ball was definitely out of play. And here is Polanco. And that ball is hammered. Garcia at the track for out number 3. Minnesota is hitting darts tonight. 6-0.
Presented by Coors Light, where fan sports knowledge is put to the test to take home some cash. Check out Beer Money Sunday night at 7 right here on CSN.
They love Beer Money in Independence, Iowa. They watch Sox games and Beer Money on Independence Telecommunications Utility in Independence, Iowa.
Hello, you Iowans.
Hi, Independence.
We will tell you that the boys are going to get a little closer than they are now, because I think Phil Hughes
although the curveball is pretty good in the first inning, he will give up some runs and give up some home runs.
Avi Garcia, Todd Frazier, Matt Davidson, the three to take aim at Hughes. 30-year-old right-hander here in the second inning, and Avi takes a strike. That's the one thing about having a veteran guy on the mound in this situation, is he knows to throw strikes.
Yeah, well, you're not, I mean, he's been one of the best control pitchers in baseball for a long time. So don't look to walks to get back in this. Boys are going to have to hit it.
To third base, Miguel Sano, the cross diamond peg for out number 1.
Sano has a cannon for an arm. And one of the setbacks in his young career was undergoing Tommy John surgery, which is really rare for a third baseman, but he went through it. And his arm, you saw in the last throw, his arm is as good as anybody's. Any third baseman in baseball, Sano has an arm that's as good and better than most all of them.
He had a little extra time there, but you saw the ball go across the diamond as quickly as
it's
you'll
a rocket.
see it. Credit Paul Molitor, though, and this group for, without wholesale changes on the roster, making a significant upgrade in their start. Just the first month of the season, it looks like an entirely different ethos over there.
Well, they're hoping that Buxton and what he did the last couple months of last year is not an illusion, because if he gets it done offensively, this team is going to score. He is one of their stolen base threats. They've got a couple of them. There's a look at a 5-tool player who has yet to really realize all the potential he has. But he's young.
High school draft pick out of the state of Georgia, just 23 years old, Byron Buxton.
He's had a number of opportunities, and when the light does turn on for this guy, he's going to devastate some pitchers.
That was a strike, but it rose, at least seemingly, out of the zone to Jerry Lane, the plate umpire. Frazier helped by making himself a little more compact.
Could be like mini-me.
Ball 4. You know, in 2017, a good Austin Powers 2 reference usually gets you across the finish line. DeWalt, the official tools of the Chicago White Sox. DeWalt, guaranteed tough, offering total job site solutions.
I kind of thought that was us, but now it's nice to know that it's them.
1 on, 1 out for Matt Davidson.
Outfield very deep all the way around and fairly straight away. If there's any bias at all, it'd be a step or two left of center for Buxton. Other than that, we pan around, we show you the defense. Pretty standard defense. Very much straight up in the infield.
You know, 6-0 really damages your running game, too.
Well, to stay out of a double play, Todd can take off. Hughes is slow to the plate, and he's not going to get a big lead because he wants a walking lead to give him momentum going into second base. And we'll see if Phil Hughes holds the baseball and forces him to be stationary.
Breaking ball faded inside. 1-2 on Davidson. His 5 home runs, slugging at .538 for the year. Nick Capra goes through the signs in that third base coaching box. A Denver native, Nick.
Nice city.
Oh,
they've gotten some unusual weather there also in the early going.
The gang's all here. A lot of hail for the Rockies. But what a start in the National League West for Colorado.
In spring training, you could tell that Colorado was going to put some runs up. You look up and down their lineup, it's awfully good. And they have a lot of young starting pitching, and that's really what has been the case. And Trevor Story is not eligible to play at this point because he's nicked up.
Shoulder issue for Story. His season cut short last year by injury. And Davidson pops it up. Mauer at first is in foul ground for out number 2. And look there at the bottom of the National League West. Bruce Bochy's Giants trailing the Padres even, and San Diego in town starting tomorrow.
Well, the Giants have had a number of injuries, and that's one of the reasons why they're in last place. But the Padres come in. It's a different situation with them. They're in a rebuilding cycle. They've got a couple of good young players. And we'll see if they can start to come to life, because the Dodgers are starting to play really good baseball. And if that's the case, they should dominate that division. They're a game and a half back at Colorado, but they won 5 in a row.
They have some pitching there. They have the best ERA in Major League Baseball entering play today.
Kim takes a long look down to Nick Capra at third. That's a signal for a straight change, and Hughes thinks it's a good time to break it out.
Inside to Anderson, who was very honest yesterday with the media before the game that eventually was rained out. Tim has been dealing with some personal stuff from back home. One of his very close friends from growing up, Brandon Moss, was killed over the weekend last weekend trying to break up a fight. Tim and Brandon were each other's kids' godfathers, and so it's been a tough time for Tim Anderson right now.
Well, his skills are big. He can do just about everything. And like a lot of young players, he's just searching for consistency, both with the glove and with the bat. The bat right now is a bit ahead of the glove.
Well hit, but right at shortstop, and Polanco for out number 3. Sox don't have a hit yet. Minnesota has put up big numbers in the first 2 innings. Extended until 9 p.m. tonight. With a donation of $25 or more, you can help White Sox charities and win exciting prizes such as autographed items and ballpark experiences along the way. Visit whitesox.com/Sox25 to donate today. We are joined by Christine O'Reilly in the booth, the Vice President of Community Relations for the White Sox. Always great to see you.
Thanks. Good to be here.
Yeah, this 25 for 25 campaign, it's in its second year.
Yep. Very interesting. A lot of prizes to be won. Tell the fans how they can get involved.
Well, actually, they've got 6 more minutes in this hour for a chance to win a Moncada signed bat. That's pretty exciting because we wrap up at 9 o'clock, so fans still have an opportunity to make a donation. You know, we try to make it fun. We get such great support from our fans, but we added the prizes every hour just to add a little bit of excitement.
And the last hour is 25 prizes.
Well, that was yesterday's final hour, but then we extended it, Steve. So the last hour tonight is actually dinner in the Guaranteed Rate Club with Harold Baines and Ron Kittle. How about that?
That's good.
It works out great. Harold doesn't say much. Ron talks a lot. They balance each other out.
The average is perfect,
Yeah,
right?
of the two, Harold can't say anything.
So where does the money go to? If you donate, where's your money contributing?
You know, in this particular case, fans are able to indicate where they'd like their dollars to go across the issue areas that we support. So cancer research and treatment, our urban youth baseball programs like our ACE program, which we've talked about before on the air, programs for kids and families in crisis, great education programs that we support.
That's fantastic. So you basically can have your own pick as to where you want your money to go.
Right. You just give the fans an opportunity, or you know, fans can indicate that they want to donate the money to where the greatest need is, and then we use those funds to award all of our grants that we give out to the nonprofit organizations across the Chicago community. So almost $2 million last year alone, and pushing $27 million since White Sox Charities was formed.
How about that? You talk about those grants. If folks don't know, what do those go toward?
So organizations, well, I mentioned our youth baseball programs, so we fund all of those. We pay all the costs for our urban youth baseball programs, but there's other agencies across the city that fans might be familiar with. Great organizations like Sarah's Inn, which is a domestic violence shelter for women, Mercy Home for Boys and Girls, which has been around forever, Misericordia. There's some great education programs that are working on getting kids through high school to college and to persist through college, because a lot of agencies help get kids to apply for college, but we fund programs that are really getting first generation kids through college, and you know, just with every bit of education you can get, your world of opportunities just expands so much. So that's what we look to support through our grant funding.
It's a wonderful program. I've been told that there are donors from 36 states last year for 25 for 25. Can we try and make that 50 in the next couple of hours?
I would love it. We have until 9 o'clock. As I said, a couple more minutes on the Moncada bat, and then we've got the dinner and the Guaranteed Rate Club. But, you know, we're so fortunate, and I say it all the time. We have great fans across the country, even to your point, but certainly here in Chicago too, and we just really appreciate their support. This campaign is just a fun, direct giving campaign, as I said, and lots of people have won lots of prizes. And if they're at the ballpark tonight, we're taking donations at the Sox Charities booth too, inside the ballpark.
And where's that?
It's located behind Section 131, right down on the concourse.
How about that? Yeah. Christine, thank you for stopping by.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure. Christine O'Reilly, thank you. I know you enjoy
And thanks for the gnome.
Always.
Yeah, that was wonderful. A replacement gnome. Very nice.
Christine is bringing her prizes up here to the booth for us too. It's very nice. Maybe next year we can donate the gnome back for 25 for 25. Can you re-gift a gnome?
Well, right now it's doing an invaluable service of protecting the prize shelf.
Have there been a lot of attempted heists?
There has. Yeah, it's pretty dangerous up here.
Great to hear from Christine, though. This 25 for 25 is 1,500 donors last year, nearly $75,000. And if you go to whitesox.com/Sox25, you can donate right now and get involved with all the prizes and the giving.
In the meantime, a good bounce back inning for Derek Holland, striking out the first two. That was a very good pitch and did not get it.
Again, showing the importance of the catch behind the plate and hitting the target, because no matter what umpire and the best of the best, he's going to have to watch the catch in the glove by the catcher.
I love you, Big Ray!
Jam shot pop-up. Tim Anderson into foul ground for out number 3. The auction and the donations are coming to a close. The sun sets here in Chicago, but not on the Sox. Third inning, 6-0. Director Jim Angio, a recent recipient of the Silver Circle Award, which recognizes outstanding individuals who've given 25-plus years in the industry and made significant contributions to local television, one of the best in the business. We travel around the country and we hear from everybody that we work with in TV, whether they've done baseball or not, that Jim Angio is one of the best both directors and people you can run into, and we agree with that wholeheartedly.
And it's a wonderful award, well deserved. And outside of looking like the Great Pumpkin, that was a nice picture.
Here's Omar Narvaez to take strike number 1. I'm surprised that Jim even took a camera right there. He's the one that's in charge. If you don't know what a director does, by the way, he's the one that says, okay, ready this camera. Take this camera, like he just did there. He just changed cameras for you. So without Jim, we're just going to watch from this angle the whole game. So thanks, Jim. Ground ball out number 1 here in the 3rd. But in all sincerity, doing games for other networks and traveling around with other crews all the way across the country and sometimes out of the country as well. When I mention the name Jim Angio to people in this business, they say invariably, please say hi to Jim. He's one of the nicest people I've ever met, and he's a darn good director, too. So even just coming into this job last year, people said, you're going to love working with Jim Angio. He is a dear man, and we are glad to have him.
And he's been around for quite some time. When he first started directing, there was only 2 bases.
Try the veal. Strike 1 to Garcia. When did you get started? What was one of the major rules when you started playing baseball?
Who?
Leather helmets?
Professionally?
Uh-huh.
Oh.
Second base Dozier for out number 2.
The rule changes aren't drastic, certainly, from when I started to get paid to actually play this game, which was a wonderful day. And, wound up fooling him for 14 years, which was very nice. But for the guys who still have the opportunity to play, they get frustrated when they don't do things as well as they could. But this is a very difficult game, and it's to the guys who are afforded the luxury of being able to play it, it's a great thing. And the same with all of us who don't play, can't play, but we get to come to the ballpark. Jimmy falls into that, certainly. Come to the ballpark every day and make a living doing something you love.
2 out for Melky. And he shanks it foul.
I hope everybody's okay. That went back there like a rocket.
Ball and a strike from Phil Hughes, former first-round pick of the Yankees, and this is a ground ball smothered by Mauer. Phil Hughes has faced 1 over the minimum through 3. Twins are up 6-love early. they can win, Steve.
Oh, they can win. If you happen to win tonight, you're a very lucky person because we still have our ever-present pig. We would love to give you that bank. And we have the beautiful Sox cold weather cap, which has come in handy, as well as a gnome, which you can't have because he's our watch gnome.
You just broke our statue.
And I just broke the statue. Let's see. No, the statue is very resilient. It is a statue of Paul Konerko, and it finds itself back together again magically.
We are going to need to win somebody else's contest to get a hot glue gun up here for all the things that you continue to break.
Well, that's true. This is, well, it's placement.
On the ground.
Yeah.
Sandy Rosario to take a ball from Derek Holland. Minnesota in the first inning got 4 unearned runs thanks to an extra out on a dropped ball over at first base on a prospective double play. Then a couple of homers in the second inning. Solo shots for Brian Dozier and Miguel Sano. And here we stand at 6-0 Minnesota.
We saw Rosario in that series in Minneapolis. He was not swinging the bat very well, but that's all changed as things have come full circle for him.
Garcia on the trot to straightaway center field for out number 1. Here's your Sox math question for tonight. Hashtag Sox math on Twitter. First correct answer wins a prize off the prize shelf that Steve has broken. Number of runs the Sox scored in the series opener multiplied by Saladino's jersey number minus the number of strikeouts Michael Kopech had Tuesday night in AA divided by the number of states that border the state in which Kopech pitched on Tuesday. Do them in order, and you can win a lovely prize. That's not an easy one tonight.
No, that's a good one today. I was particularly enamored with some of the nuances of Sox math.
Are you often particularly enamored with nuances?
True. Almost every day.
I'm not going to ask about the days off. There's a ball and a strike on Buxton, who was out upon review in the second inning on a headfirst dive into first base.
Byron has a whole lot of strength. Doesn't get a chance to show it too often, but he can hit it a long way.
He hits it high in the air this time. The ball dodges a couple of birds flying by, and Melky Cabrera is there for out number 2.
Now it's time to take a look at StatCast powered by AWS, and it is the Dozier home run. The exit velocity 105.7, which is good enough. The launch angle made that particular home run because it was over 31 degrees, so plenty of height and certainly enough power to get it out.
With that 2 down for Brian Dozier, who takes a strike. That home run, Sano's home run, Escobar's home run, Minnesota with 3 of them so far, and a grand total of just 34 in the first 30 games of the year.
This really wasn't designed as a very powerful lineup because the guys who play the corners every day for them are good solid players. They're just not power hitters, and normally you get power out of the corner outfield spots. So Dozier at second base certainly makes up for that as far as power is concerned, and Sano's at third, so they get a very powerful infield.
Yeah, kind of a give and take there.
Yep.
If you don't have one at the corners, you can pick it up somewhere else.
You love to see first baseman, third baseman, both with the ability to hit the ball out of the park and drive in runs. Those are your power positions. But Dozier was a shortstop. They shifted him to second base. He's played some outfield, but he's gotten a whole lot better defensively at second. When he first went over there, it was an adventure at times, but now he's pretty solid.
Up high on a fastball from Derek Holland, who has retired 6 in a row since the Sano homer.
couple of fans with a great view and fortunate to be behind the net.
We need to get you those glasses. You'd look great in those purple glasses.
I've always viewed things through rose-colored glasses, so there you go.
Sure that's not just a fan of yours, rose-colored glasses?
I don't think so.
There's ball 4. Dozier walks. Third walk for Minnesota against Holland this evening. And Robbie Grossman will bat. Don't look now, but the Twins came in today just a half game back of first place Cleveland in the American League Central. That pitch is high for Grossman. Your biggest surprise early this year in terms of the division leaders is who, would you say?
Well, right now, Colorado is somewhat surprising, but they've got a terrific lineup and some young pitching to go along with it.
In the air to right field, propelling Garcia back for out number 3. 6-0 Sox trail after 3.5.
To you by Miller Lite.
And you can join us as the Sox take on the Tigers Saturday, May 27th. It's 1:10 p.m. First 20,000 fans get a White Sox photo book presented by CSN. Take a look back at the Sox in the 90s with images featuring all-time greats like Frank Thomas, Tim Raines, Bo Jackson, and more. Purchase your tickets today by visiting whitesox.com or calling 866-SOX-GAME. My question to all of the 90s kids like me is, which random White Sox player would you like to see on that calendar from the 90s?
Well, which one?
I don't know. It's for them to decide.
Oh, okay.
I'm offering a question to our guests lounging at home, having a drink and watching us talk about the game of baseball.
I'll get back to you on that.
I didn't ask you.
Well, I know, but I'll still get back to you on that.
Don't. 2 balls and a strike on Saladino. Minnesota 4 in the first, 2 in the second tonight. I believe Cubs announcer Len Casper was among the masses watching this game. He tweeted at us earlier tonight, so maybe Len's watching.
Could very well be.
Hello, Len, if you are there. A wonderful musician, Len Casper, by the way. 3-2. Hughes to Saladino. That's inside, ball 4. His second walk tonight issued by Hughes. Here's your Sox math answer for tonight. The Sox guy is your winner. Number of runs the Sox scored in the opener was 2, multiplied by 20. Saladino's jersey number. Kopech had 6 strikeouts against the Pensacola Blue Wahoos on the road. That's in Florida, and there are 2 states bordering the Sunshine State. The Sox guy has 17 first, and he is your winner. Jose Abreu for strike 1. Michael Kopech has that ERA down sub-3 now.
I like the fact that, and it sounds strange to limit the strikeouts 6 and 6 innings, which is good for just about everybody, but not for Michael Kopech, who usually winds up with 9 or 10 and 6. But this shows me that maybe he's starting to figure it out somewhat with the secondary pitches. The fastball is going to be there. It's as good as anybody's around. The question is secondary pitches, if they're going to keep him as a starting pitcher, which to this point they're anticipating doing.
He's 21 years old, Michael Kopech. He and Moncada both 21. Moncada in AAA Charlotte, Kopech AA Birmingham, and Abreu ricochets this one foul. Nice play by the ball boy over on the side of the left field wall there.
Yeah, that was a one-hop rocket, and the southpaw doesn't stick in the webbing of the glove.
No, that's not southpaw. Southpaw's green.
The southpaw.
Oh,
yes, not our southpaw.
Normally you want to put your body in front of the ball and make sure it doesn't get by you.
No, not so much. That particular lead at first is just below Major League average at first base, which is 12 feet. And Hughes wants some chat with his catcher. We'll tell you about the man behind the plate, Jerry Lane. We're going to tell you as we move along this year a little bit about these umpires that do such a terrific job.
He likes long walks on the beach.
And he likes 28 years as an umpire, which is really good. One of the things that he's very proud of is working behind the plate in Game 3 of the 2005 World Series, which all of our fans certainly appreciated.
That was a short series, as I recall.
Very short, as short as you could possibly be.
Abreu left field and couldn't straighten it out.
One of the things that Jerry does is he works with disabled veterans, which is a really wonderful thing. He also had the opportunity to work the 1994 All-Star game in Pittsburgh. So he's a crew chief. He's been around for a while, does a very good job. And we're going to tell you as we go through this year a little bit about the men that call balls and strikes behind the plate.
Because they are people.
And they work awfully hard, and just like everybody else, you can't have a masterpiece of a game each and every time out. You're going to miss some pitches. The best umpires still miss pitches, but they stay consistent throughout the game.
One and two on Abreu. Saladino at first, nobody out. And a breaking ball inside. Jose is really stinging the ball right now. He's driven in a run in 8 of his last 13 games and is one of the league leaders in May in hard outs. He's got 8 outs at 95 miles an hour or more in the first week and a half of this month.
This is as hot a streak as we've seen him on.
That's inside. 3-2.
He wiped him out his first at bat to end the first inning with a big slow curveball. He's thrown a couple in this sequence and they've been hit hard because they're not near as good as the one that he used for strike 3.
Saladino at first, payoff to Abreu. There goes Tyler, and Jose hits it in the air. Buxton in center, one down.
Get to know the rising stars inside the White Sox organization with 2 half-hour specials. Go behind the scenes with Yoan Moncada, Michael Kopech, Zach Birdie, and more as they prepare for the big stage. CSN presents White Sox Cornerstones, presented by Ozinga, premiering Monday, May 22nd at 7 p.m.
We're going to get a preview of that on Sunday. Ryan McGuffey, who's part of that project, I believe is going to stop by the booth to tell us about the Cornerstone series. That'll be interesting insight.
Yeah, it is very nice, and there's a lot of very talented young people down in the minor leagues at every level for the Sox.
Get to learn a lot about North Carolina when you travel to see the Sox farm clubs.
Yeah.
So Hughes, who was on the verge of walking back-to-back hitters, gets the fly out from Abreu. And Avi fouls it away. Ball and a strike. Sox still in search of their first hit tonight. A walk from Frazier and a walk from Saladino, the only 2 base runners so far. And that's one thing the Sox have not used in their arsenal over the last couple years is the walk. You look at the walk rate for this team the last 5 seasons, and that's over a bunch of different players and coaches and managers now. And the walk has not been a consistent part of the Sox offensive scheme the last half-decade or so.
No, they brought up a whole lot of guys, or traded for guys, that have been up and down this order, and not a whole lot of patience shown.
I think that speaks to the organizational philosophy that Ricky Renteria is trying to deploy. He's trying to get that trickle-down effect from the majors all the way down to the minors, with things like 2-strike approach being headliners now.
Well, that's most of the team is choking up when they get to 2 strikes, which will create some more contact.
That was a pretty good pitch from Hughes.
Yeah, that had the whole plate at the knees, and Avi was able to see another 1 or 2. Doesn't get much better than that. Jimenez tried to frame it as best he could, but did not get the benefit of the call.
Two and two from Hughes. Saladino at first, and Avi fouls it away.
He was lucky to get away with that. That was a high changeup, and it was so high that Avi couldn't put much of the bat on it. When you hang one there, normally you've got some problems. The only guy that has problems with that is Avi, who fouled it off his thigh.
Frazier next. Todd was the first base runner tonight for the Sox with a 2nd inning walk. Avi rips it to left field, and fair into the corner it goes. Saladino watches it ring off the wall and holds it third. 2nd and 3rd, 1 down in the 4th.
He hits his ball awfully hard, takes it into the corner, and a chance to break through against Phil Hughes.
Well, you mentioned Avi wanted to get a little bit more out of that changeup. The good news was he made enough contact to stay alive. Then he barrels one up down the left field side, and he ends up at second and third, one out for Frazier as the Sox build their first rally off the first hit of the night.
A ground ball here scores the run. Infield is back. Home Molitor knows with a 6-run lead, you want to stay out of the big inning. So they've got the shift on, and everybody is deep on the left side.
Ball and a strike on Frazier. Avi's ball, by the way, just short of 107 miles an hour off his bat again.
In years past, he didn't make a lot of contact, but when he did, he had one of the best exit velocities consistently in the major leagues. And nothing has changed, except now he's making more contact.
Frazier in the air, right center field. Buxton is underneath. He dropped the ball. Buxton dropped the ball, and the Sox are on the board. Thank you very much. 6-1.
It goes as a sacrifice fly, E8, and Buxton, who was camped under it, was most likely thinking about getting in position to make the throw before he made the catch. That's the first error of the year for Buxton. He took his eye off the ball to look at the runner. You got to look the ball into your glove. You got ample opportunity to look at the runner once you make the catch, and Byron, who is an outstanding center fielder, very disappointed in himself as he checks his notes as Neil Allen comes out.
Boy, he never had that ball squared up. His body was never squared with the baseball, and you're right, he took his eye off the ball.
He had enough time actually to get in a better throwing position, because even if he catches it, what he did was caught it on the left side of his body, which means you got to come all the way to the right side to get the ball and throw it. If you can line up where you're catching the ball in the middle of your body or on the right side of your body, it's going to make an easier play. But you can see the eyes just left the ball for an instant, and that's usually all that it takes.
Buxton left to his own thoughts about the meeting that just took place at the mound based on his drop. So first and third, one out still, 6-1, and Matt Davidson with an opportunity to make Minnesota pay even more. Twins put up a big number in the first. 4 runs after an error extended that inning, and Davidson takes ball 1.
That is going to be an earned run, because even if he catches it, not going to throw him out at the plate.
Ball and a strike on Davidson. Power hitting third baseman. Trying to get a hold of one here, down 5 runs early on.
Fortunate part is a long way to go with a bullpen on the Twins side that is not overwhelming.
They've been outscored by 20 runs in the 9th inning this year, and a lot of that due to a 10-run 9th over the weekend by the Red Sox.
Nice block by Jimenez, making sure that Frazier can't advance and Avi can't score.
.60 pitches now for Hughes through 3 1/3.
See if Matt can go with this outside fastball.
On the ground, knocked down by Dozier, and he gets one out. That's all. Sox score again. It's 6-2 here in the fourth.
Run batted in, the 16th for Davidson. That was a one-hop rocket. Dozier did a nice job of knocking it down, but it took the double play out of the equation, so he does go the way he should with an outside fastball, and it turns into a run batted in and makes it a 4-run game with still a long way to go. So Dozier battling that one all the way, gets the out, but the double play out of the equation.
So Avi home after the double. A walk, a double, a sac fly error combination, and the RBI ground out from Davidson, bringing up Tim Anderson. Smash down the line for Tim. Davidson on his way to third, and that was ill-advised. Davidson out in third, inning over, still 6-2. No was part of a 2-homer inning, about 101 miles an hour and 386 feet for the burly slugger from Minnesota. Part of a 6-2 lead right now for the visitors, looking for a shortened sweep of this now 2-game series because of the rain yesterday. We told you Sano's batting average on balls in play is the highest in Major League Baseball, and part of the reason is he's just hit the ball much harder this season than he did even last year when he was hitting the ball fairly hard, but this year the ball's just been lit up off his bat. And here's the heat map showing that middle is of the zone, middle in, middle away, 100+ miles an hour on average.
Yeah, that is one strong man, and when you put Kenneth Vargas in there, and he usually plays against right-handers, not left-handers, it's two gigantic guys in the middle of the lineup, and they both have astonishing power.
We showed you last homestand the difference between batting average from 105 miles an hour to 95 miles an hour. It basically doubles your average when you add those 10 miles an hour, and reason to pitch around a guy like Miguel Sano, who's walked twice now tonight.
That's 4 walks, most uncharacteristic for Derek Holland, who's had excellent control this entire season. Tonight, as so often happens, he doesn't have his best stuff, and it's been a battle to this point.
His start in Cleveland, not far from home for him. He gave up just the one hit. He walked 4, but he had stuff that time.
Yeah.
In terms of his A1 stuff.
Polanco is a natural second baseman, but to get some playing time, and you're not going to get any with Brian Dozier there, so they shifted him to shortstop, where he's done a pretty decent job. Polanco does not have a great shortstop arm major league wise, but it's good enough, and he takes advantage on difficult plays where he doesn't have his balance. He'll skip it off the grass to first base, and at least for him it works.
Fouled away 1-2 on Polanco, who career now is 0 for 5 against Derek Holland. He of the Rangers organization up until this year in his first year with the Sox. Derek Holland out of Newark, Ohio. Went to college in the state of Alabama and drafted by the Rangers.
That didn't feel too good. That's what will happen. You get a left-handed pitcher who likes to throw inside to right-hand hitters. They're going to hit the ball off their body. This looked like it was off the knee. You can't wear a shin guard big enough.
That would be a full body shin guard.
Still feeling the effects of that as he gingerly hops back in the box.
Sano at first, and that will wake him up even more. Pitch him inside after he fouls one off his body. Center field Garcia for out number 1. The 2017 Chicago White Sox are presented by Guaranteed Rate. Go to rate.com for a low rate and the best mortgage experience on the planet. So 1 down, 1 on for Joe Mauer, who picked up an RBI in the first inning on a base hit.
And this year, he's thrown his slider to left-hand hitters 40% of the time. That is a lot different than he thrown in years past. That same pitch to the same left-hand hitters.
Part of the reason he's only given up 1 extra base hit to left-handers all year.
Bauer did pick on a fastball to drive in a run with a single in the first inning.
Breaking ball strike, 1-1.
Normally Joe is really a good man for 2 because he does hit the ball hard and he doesn't have great speed. He's grounded into 4 double plays this year.
Two and 1 to Mauer, who coming in was just 3 out of 17 all time against Derek Holland. They ran into each other in cross-divisional play over Holland's 8 years with Texas. Good news for Derek is back from injury, hoping to stay healthy for the entire season. And you know, talking to him about that, he said, look, there were times when I was in Texas where you go into that dark hole, right? You feel like, boy, are injuries going to stop me from being able to play this game like I want to? He thought he might have been there a couple years ago and got some help from some folks and teammates and kept his head as straight as possible and has landed in Chicago and pitched very well to start this year for the Sox.
Well, Rick Hahn, Kenny Williams decided that it was worth a chance of seeing Holland regain his health, because if he did, they knew he could pitch very well. So he's been healthy and he's pitching very well.
3-2 on the ground. This will only be one out if that. Holland covers and stops the bag for out number 2. Sano up to second base.
Derek did a nice job of getting over there, and Jose got him the ball early enough to right his footwork. It's not an easy task for a left-hander who falls off the mound to the third base side to then redirect himself and hustle to the bag.
So 2 down for Escobar. And Holland nearing his 5th full inning of work. Eduardo Escobar has the big blow in this game, a 3-run homer in the first. That was with 2 out after an error prolonged the inning. Fouled away.
Well, take a look at Derek Holland as he delivers this ball. It's our high home angle, and he falls off the mound to the third base side like a lot of left-handers, but he does almost a reverse pivot and knows he's got to hustle to the bag. Fortunately, it was Joe Mauer not only hustling to the bag but righting his footwork. So a nice job by both Jose and Derek.
It's a pretty athletic play. I mean, it's one step, but it's not easy to do.
No, because you know you got to hustle your way to first base and locate the bag while you're having a ball thrown at you.
Twins continue to lengthen at bats with 2-strike foul balls tonight.
Couple of young, well-bundled fans.
Sharing a blanket.
Our scoreboard says it's 60 degrees.
Scoreboard is located in an oven.
It's not quite 60, I don't think.
1-2 in the dirt. That's not to say it's a bad night to watch baseball tonight.
Oh.
It's a fine night to watch baseball, but it's not 60.
No. It was. Not now. And that young man's got a glove. Dad has a glove, just in case.
Official score,
yes.
60 degrees. They don't agree.
No, that's the Frozen Four.
I don't know that that's exactly
in hockey parlance.
How it goes. Frozen Four was in Chicago, and still is, evidently. The Frozen 2.
Nice event, by the way.
Yeah.
Watching the premier college hockey teams going head-to-head.
See, that's how you stay warm. You just bounce around. You keep moving.
That's a good plan. That and a heavy jacket.
Maybe the heavy jacket more than bouncing around. In the air left field, and this is up the alleyway enough to get Sano home. Escobar races to second with an RBI double.
Leadoff walk comes home to score, and Eduardo has his 3rd run batted in, giving him 12 for the year. 4 runs driven in, giving him 12 for the year. And here he sees the play in front of him and just hustles into second base.
And nearly takes a nap. collapsed into the bag. Takes a breath. At 7-2 Minnesota. For Jimenez, who only has 31 at bats this year. Castro has played the bulk. And that is a good pick by Davidson, who could have gotten eaten alive by that baseball. Instead, he ends the inning. At Davidson. Saving face and knee for out number 3. To 3 tonight in AAA at lovely Slugger Field in Kentucky. AAA Cincinnati Reds, the Louisville Bats. They go by the bats because, you know, the Slugger factory is there, but the logo is a flying thing, the bat. So there's 2 definitions, you see.
I do.
It's clever.
Oh boy.
Pulling a strike on Omar. Sox got 2 runs in the 4th. Minnesota countered with a run here in the top of the 5th for Phil Hughes, former first-round pick. That's a fair ball down the line. Omar is on his way to second base, and he gets there easily.
He hits this ball awfully hard, and Joe Mauer can't come up with it. But Omar did something that was really well done. Rounds first. Now, he takes his eye off the ball and looks at Nick Capra at third. That was really well done because the ball was behind him. He couldn't possibly see it unless he turned around, and that would really slow him down and preclude going to third. But that was excellent. Picking up the third base coach when you're about 10 steps away from the second base bag is exactly what you want to do when the play's behind you.
Puts Omar at second. Nobody out for Garcia. And ball 1.
Well, the offense started to get to Phil Hughes last inning. And right now, the boys are getting some good swings at him.
In the air, left side, and this ball is fair. Right next to the line. Garcia plops it in, and Narvaez to third.
promising start to the inning, and Leury should have been running. Because if he was, he'd have been on second base. That's not too good. Because the double play stays in the equation. If he's hustling, he's on second, and a base hit scores you 2.
To be clear, there's really no reason other than human instinct to watch the ball fly.
Yeah, I mean, you run, the umpires will tell you if it's fair or foul, as usually will the crowd.
First and third, nobody out. Melky Cabrera. And Melky drives it to right field and deep. This ball is gone. 3-run home run, Melky Cabrera, and this is a brand new game.
Second home run of the year. 13 driven in. We told you about last inning and the offense starting to get some better at bats. This inning they've had 3 very good at bats, topped off by Melky's line drive into the bullpen. Before it home run replay, Melky got a low curveball. He went down and got it, hit it on the nose. And this one is starting to get very exciting.
With that home run, another generous donation from the Alex Snellius family in loving memory of Ursula, and Melky has his first extra base hit since April 29th. And it is a big one tonight. Not even halfway home, and the Sox are right back in it at 7-5. Well, you said it when this game was 6-0, that the offense is likely to have some opportunities against Hughes with his penchant for giving up the home run, and now the bullpen's up with Duffy.
And Tyler Duffy threw a couple of nights ago, looked really good. But Phil Hughes is not a big strikeout pitcher, and he's usually not overpowering. So the Sox have battled back, making it a ball game after a disastrous first couple of innings where the Twins rushed out with 4 in the first and 2 in the second.
Saladino lays off the breaking ball. 2-2.
That's the 6th home run that Phil Hughes has given up this year, tying him for the team lead.
About 1 a start.
Irvin Santana's also given up 6.
Oh, Hughes didn't get that call. Could have, and Saladino continues to have a heartbeat. 3-2. Oh, he said something not so happy.
Yeah. He said darn.
I don't know how you spell darn. Sano for out number 1. Saturday, May 13th, come see the White Sox take on the San Diego Padres, 6:10 p.m. All fans are invited to stay for a spectacular postgame fireworks show presented by Magellan Corporation. Purchase tickets today by visiting whitesox.com or calling 866-SOX-GAME. So 1 down for Jose Abreu, and this streaky Sox offense continues to do just that. Tonight, it's within the game. No hits first 3 innings, and now suddenly 5 runs on the board the last 2.
5 runs and 5 hits to go with a leadoff walk last inning.
Abreu a drive to right field and deep. Grossman is there though for out number 2.
Hit it hard, but couldn't get it by Robbie Grossman.
So 0 for 3 right now for Jose as Garcia gets a crack at Hughes here in the 5th, and you wonder, with Duffy warming, whether or not Hughes would even venture into the 6th inning.
Anthony Swarzak loosening in the pen.
So Avi in the 4th spot in the order tonight, 1 for 2 with that double to left, a hard hit pull side double, and he takes ball 1. Avi broken 0 for 9 the last 2 games plus 1 at bat with that double in the 4th inning. First time he'd gone back-to-back 0-fer since the beginning of the 4th week of April. And that misses. 3 balls, no strikes. You wouldn't let him swing here, would you?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, sure. He got something to his liking. I mean, that's one of the ways you can find out if a hitter has a good feel for a 3-0 offense is what pitches he swings at when he chooses to.
Upper portion of the zone, strike 1.
That probably wasn't the pitch he would swing at anyway. He would prefer something about thigh high and middle out if he could get it.
Three and 1. Avi drills it to left field. Tying run is coming up with Todd Frazier.
2 for 3, and the hit parade continues. And here comes Paul Molitor. And he is not going to allow Phil Hughes to qualify for a win. He's motioned to the pen. Hughes has had a couple of tough innings, so Duffy comes in. Hughes walks out. We'll step out. Be back after these messages.
Field. Come see your Chicago White Sox take on the Detroit Tigers, 7:10 p.m. All fans are invited to stay for a post-game fireworks show presented by the Village of Bedford Park. Bring your business home with the Village of Bedford Park and win big. Purchase tickets today by visiting whitesox.com or calling 866-SOX-GAME.
Our Hyundai call to the pen is Tyler Duffy, who was brilliant a couple of nights ago, and overall this year, very good. On for the 12th time, the ERA 162. 15 strikeouts in 16 2/3 innings to go with only 4 walks. And he's got a knee buckling curveball.
Played for legendary head coach Wayne Graham at Rice as Frazier tried to check his swing and could not. And how about that strike call by Jerry Lane behind the plate? Put the one finger up above his head, almost like a home run signal.
To me, like it might have been a swing, but who knows? In the grand scheme of things, you'll get a better pitch.
Outside, ball and a strike on Frazier, who walked in the second. Had the sacrifice fly in the fourth that was dropped by Buxton in center. Turned into an error. And the Sox scored twice in that fourth inning. Frazier gets a visit from Tyler Duffy, and it's 2-1. May not want to poke the bear there, as Hughes is out after 4 2/3.
We saw Duffy in relief of Santiago the opening game of this series. He went an inning and a third and fanned 2.
Todd went after it 2-2. Garcia at first, 2 down, 3 runs in the inning. So you have one more breaking ball for him away here.
I was going to say he threw him a fastball, which he spoiled. But if I'm Jimenez, I got to go back to his curveball. Let's see what Chris has in mind, and if Tyler Duffy will think along the same lines. He called an outside fastball.
See where it gets him. 2-2. That's way high. So the youthful looking Duffy against the 31-year-old veteran Todd Frazier.
We've already motioned that Mauer is going to be behind Abbey at first base. So don't come over there with a throw, as Darryl Boston's the closest to the bag.
Frazier got a fastball and hit it a long way. Left center field, but not long enough. Boy, you talk about tempting Todd Frazier. A couple of fastballs, but Melky Cabrera belts a 3-run homer, and the Sox are back within 2.
Podcast, our Chuck Garfien talks to the editor-in-chief of Deadspin and his fascination with the White Sox rebuild. Plus, and a big plus it is, Ryan McGuffey gives us the scoop from his minor league tour. Subscribe to the Sox podcast today.
I hear that editor might have had a piece of footwear delivered to him at some point.
Yes, I know. You did that.
Well, I don't know who did it. Somebody did. Here's Swarzak.
Wasn't one of your shoes, was it? Anyway, Anthony Swarzak comes in the game.
It's the one you set on fire of your own last year.
For the 13th time, he's 2-0, and he's given up nothing. 17 strikeouts in 14 2/3 to go with only 3 hits. So he certainly wants to show the team that he played for quite some time exactly what is new with Anthony Swarzak.
First 5 years of his career with Minnesota, then Cleveland in 15 for 10 games, and the Yankees for 26 last year for Swarzak. But he has been a changed man on the mound this year.
Well, look, with a couple of injuries to Jake Petrichka, Zach Putnam, it's really great to see Swarzak and Tommy Kahnle both step up and throw the best baseball of their careers. I think both of these guys have been unhittable, and they both come out. Tommy Kahnle's always thrown fire. This year, Anthony Swarzak's throwing a little bit harder than he has in years past.
In the air and foul.
And if you weren't with us a couple of nights ago, Giovanni Soto is on the disabled list. Kevin Smith has been recalled. Gio's got a tender elbow, hoping that will resolve itself. He's off to a really nice start with the bat, and he always handles pitchers well, so we wish him a speedy recovery.
There's that sink we've seen from Swarzak that's turned him into a big ground ball guy this year.
That's going to come in very handy when it gets a little bit warmer. Not that the park is not lively enough at this point, but when things start to heat up, it's really going to be flying out of here. Is that change up down? Rosario able to stay alive.
Goes up high, piece of the bat came flying, and Swarzak points to the sky for Tim Anderson to size it up.
That one was up there for a long time, and Tim finally took command and made the play. We'd like to pass along birthday greetings to Gene Cochran, 86 years old today, and a lifelong Sox fan.
Happy birthday, Gene.
Yep.
Happy birthday as well to Miguel Sano.
How many years has he been on the planet?
He has been on the planet now 24 years.
A lot of talent in a very young and very strong man.
Yeah, Sano, by the way, he's got the home run in this game. He's walked twice. He was living the king's life a couple of days ago. He was suspended for the game. You don't want to be suspended for the game, but he said he just stayed at the team hotel, ordered room service, had a steak brought to his room, and we thank him as well for the rating spike because he watched our broadcast too. Thanks, Miguel. Hope he's a Nielsen family.
Could very possibly be, but I was thinking that suspension should have lasted at least 2 games.
You think?
Yeah. But no, it wasn't to be.
So he gets suspended, then he gets to celebrate his birthday. The game of baseball is his present today.
And he's making the most of it.
1-2. Back behind home, Narvaez has no play. What was your best birthday?
My best birthday's the one that I have in any current year, because that means that I'm still on the planet. So whatever it is you go with, and you just celebrate the daylights out of it. Boy, I'm happy to be here. Yeah, that was probably it.
So your birthday's really no different than any other day.
No.
Is what you're saying?
Yeah. You just want to pile up as many as you can, however, because the alternative is not terribly appealing.
1-2. And in the air right field, Avi Garcia for out number 2. And we have a sticks and stone question for you where we quiz you about your own career. Which twin had the most runs driven in against Steve Stone in the 1977 season? Glenn Adams, Rod Carew, Butch Weinecker.
Well, I know that Glenn Adams hit a grand slam against me because I gave up 2 in 14 years, and he was one of the guys that hit one. So I'm not sure where he is now, but I'm still terribly bitter. So I will say Glenn Adams.
That's your guess tonight?
Yeah.
All right. We'll see.
33% chance.
It's Dozier. We should have a Steve Stone win expectancy graphic.
It's always 33%.
33%.
Because I have no recollection of most of these things.
But you remember specific at bats.
Yeah,
and you remember
sometimes.
hitters specifically.
The 70s was kind of a lost decade for me.
Steve, why is that?
Well, you know, you're young, energetic. You're just starting out in this wonderful career. And it was just one of those decades. Doesn't come around too much, but that was one of those decades for me.
Most likely to disappear? It's the 70s. 0-2. And there's a breaking ball for strike 3. Swarzak continues to mow him down in a Sox jersey. 2 runs to tie, 3 to take the lead. Farm report, and it comes from Kannapolis, the A-ball team where Micker Adolfo has upped his average during a 12-game hit streak that has advanced to 13 now tonight with a batting average right around 400. He's just 20 years old from the Dominican Republic by way of the Virgin Islands, and he's a young man that is starting to jump on the radar for the Sox.
Well, if you take a look at the jump in his average from 233 to 319, you can understand why people are so excited about him. And even though Kannapolis is a long way away in A-ball, there's talent up and down this system for the first time in a long time. I mean, really good talent.
Well, Baseball America just came out with its new prospect rankings, and yes, that's a crapshoot, right? You never know, but when you have a glut of prospects, that's usually your best bet. And 5 of the top 51 of the top 100 prospects, 5 of the top 51 are White Sox players.
And a lot of those guys have gotten off to remarkably good starts at whatever level they happen to be in.
Yohan Moncada, as you heard Chuck report, has a couple of hits tonight for Charlotte, AAA side.
And he swiped 9 bases. If they would turn him loose and let him just go whenever he feels like it, we've talked about it before, he's a 60-65 guy.
Davidson, a long fly ball that's massacred at 7-6.
That was one of the higher fastballs that Matt has seen, and he rode it out of the ballpark. Our Ford home run replay, and it is a majestic shot. You very rarely will see a hitter in this era jump on high fastballs like that. The reason is because the umpires have called many more low pitches these days. It's made a whole group of low ball hitters, both right and left-handed. That's why it was most unusual to see him take a fastball exactly. That was exactly where Jimenez wanted it, exactly where Duffy threw it, and he still went up and got it. That's not an easy thing to do.
Why is that?
Because you have less time. You have more time. We'll look at the various velocities. We did this, I believe we did this last year, taking a 93-mile-an-hour fastball. Let's say 93 right down the middle, and it's waist high. If you take it up high, it looks like 96. If you throw it down low, it looks like 90, and then it's the same speed. It's still a 93-mile-an-hour fastball. It just is a different look for the hitter, because when the ball is down, you have much more time to just drop the head of the bat on it, and you can put a good swing on it. Most high fastballs like that, guys just pop it up, foul it back, or just miss it. He didn't miss that. He got all of it.
That was reminiscent of the ball that Mark Trumbo hit recently for Baltimore. As Anderson pops this breaking ball up, long run into right field. It's down! Anderson slams on the brakes, and he does get back to first.
Well, heads up play by Duffy, because a pitcher has a responsibility to go where he thinks the throw might be made or to an unoccupied base. And Tyler Duffy was right behind Anderson. Fortunately, nobody on the Twins side saw Duffy behind Anderson. It falls. Then Joe Mauer has Tim, who was thinking about a hustle double, but he was able to get back to first base as Paul Molitor comes out. And that's going to be it for Duffy. So as he departs, so will we. And we'll be back.
The White Sox take on the Boston Red Sox. 1:10 p.m. All kids 13 and under get White Sox patriotic sunglasses presented by Bright Start College Savings. Purchase your specially priced ticket today by visiting whitesox.com/brightstart529.
Our Hyundai call to the pen is Taylor Rogers, who we saw in the opener. He came on to pitch the ninth inning, gave up a base hit and struck out 2. On for the 16th time. ERA at 4.35, a 1-1 record. Got a pretty good curveball, and there's a few folks that think that he might have a chance as a starter somewhere down the road right now, working out of
The bullpen for the Twins, a bullpen that has been fairly suspect.
Rogers against Narvaez. About 62% of the time he'll throw a fastball, and there he starts him with a breaking strike.
Jerry Lane is calling high strikes tonight. So hitters at this point got to be aware that if it's up there, even though they think it's out of the zone, got a good chance of getting called. Big
Omar
lead at
was showing
first.
bunt, yeah.
Big lead at first at 13 feet.
You have a couple options here, right? You can bunt, but you also can let Tim do whatever he's going to do at first.
Well, you have the option to run. He's got a good enough lead.
There's the bunt by Narvaez. Jimenez makes the call and throws him out. So the Sox give up the out for the advancement.
Good bunt, though. He deadened it nicely, leaving Rogers with only one play. That was to give way and let the catcher take it. And a wise idea for Rogers, because he would have had to spin around to make the throw, whereas Jimenez was coming out, getting in position to make the throw before he got the baseball. And the tying run at second base. Ryan Presley throws into pen.
Was just talking with Ricky Renteria before the game about his philosophy on bunting, and he said, look, I want all my guys to be able to bunt. They don't necessarily all get the chance to. It depends on who's coming up next, how I feel about this pitcher and the matchup. So one of the things pretty well guaranteed that Ricky Renteria weighed there was he had a lefty-lefty matchup. He figured he's going to get a better result out of the bunt than he is Narvaez swinging away against a fastball, curveball left-hander.
I think it's a wise choice. He's got the tying run now in scoring position. And with Tim's speed, he can score on just about anything.
Garcia in the air to left field. Rosario has some room. Anderson tags. Tim is on his way to third, and he is safe.
That's a terrific throw by Rosario. He does a 360 spin and throws it right on the money to third base. Well, that's about as good a throw as you'll see in a situation where you're not set up to make the throw. He actually catches the ball behind him. You don't see this very often, and then puts it right on the money. Just a great throw, and Tim is on the bag before the tag.
Looked like he came off the bag for a brief instant, but the tag was not on at the time.
That's a mistake Sano made. You usually, when a guy comes in as hard as Tim did, keep the glove on him, because there's a real good chance he's going to pop off the bag with either his hand or his leg, depending on what he grabs the bag with.
Pivotal spot, runner at third, 2 down, and Melky takes ball 1. Davidson led off the inning with a homer. Anderson singled. Narvaez bunted. Garcia the fly ball. And now Melky takes a strike. One on the ground, up the middle, second base, Dozier. Sox are inching back, though, with the long ball. Melky did it last inning. Matt Davidson high up the ladder for a solo shot. It's 7-6 with 3 innings left in regulation.
report, and Todd Frazier in the DH role tonight. He's taking it easy after dealing with some back tightness last week. Now the infielders took ground balls during practice this afternoon, and Frazier asked Ricky Renteria if he could sit out the drill. Ricky, of course, had no problem with this. He said that Todd is feeling much better. I asked Frazier earlier this week how he was feeling. He said, "I'm just trying to stay healthy." Jason, Steve, let's go back up to you.
Well, after that flu he had, now some back trouble.
Yeah,
it's good to see him on the field.
Pretty difficult when you dive as much as a third baseman has to dive, and then you start to get back issues. It's really difficult not to have it flare up on occasion, and that's what Todd is trying to battle through now. Dan Jennings getting ready. I would assume he's getting ready for Mauer if the inning stays alive to that point. One of these twins would have to reach base.
There's that sink again from Swarzak, and a check swing no go, says the third base umpire Marvin Hudson.
It looked like Grossman got a break. We'll take a look at it again. Watch the swing from the side. I've seen lesser swings called, but he got the benefit of that one.
You see Omar reaching out behind the batter Grossman there?
Yeah. Yeah, he was probably telling Sano to get away.
It's not your turn yet. 3-1. It's inside, ball 4. Here's your sticks and stone answer. And your guess was A, Glenn Adams, and you were right.
Well, I knew he got 4 on one swing, so I figured he had to get 1 or 2 some other time, and that was it. The dastardly Glenn Adams.
For getting it right, by the way, you win some cheese popcorn and caramel corn. Congratulations.
You know, I'm very much a proponent of the Joe Grube philosophy. You can like the cheese popcorn and you can like the caramel popcorn, but when you mix them together, there's something about that taste that I have to defer the popcorn for the moment.
Really? On the ground to third, Davidson to second for 1, and they've got the double play.
Well, Tyler knew that Sano doesn't have much speed. So the key here is just keep the ball in the air when you throw to second base. Tyler was able to reach out, and then the return throw is easy after that. So very quick and very fortuitous 5-4-3. Now each and every play becomes a very big play, because what looked like a blowout at one point has turned into a 1-run game.
Popped it up foul. And so Jorge Polanco has 1 strike on him. He's 0 for 3. Twin shortstop batting 4th tonight. 5-game hit streak is on the line.
For a guy that doesn't have big power, 14 runs driven in is a pretty good total at this point of the year. Well, they're very happy with his smooth transition as a shortstop as well as swinging the bat.
High into the night sky, Tim Anderson roving over to meet Melky, and Tim has it for out number 3. We'd like to give our heartfelt condolences to the family of Jay Tarzan, who passed away last weekend, a family member of a couple of our respected and highly thought of co-workers. Our thoughts and prayers are with them during this very difficult time.
fan can. Bring the fun home. Oh, young lady with a pretzel. That's terrific.
There are always some shy people in the group and some free t-shirt people too. How about that?
Great t-shirt, Southside Hitmen, 1977. We get a new pitcher coming in the ball game, and it is Ryan Presley, a hard-throwing right-hander, on for the 16th time. Things have not worked well for him so far. The ERA, 8 3/4. 15 hits and 11 1/3. And you can see, when a batting average against is up over 300, you're having a real tough time of it.
Last 3 outings for Presley. 2 innings and a third, 6 hits, 3 earned runs, 3 walks, 2 strikeouts. And he faces the Sox 2, 3, and 4 hitters in the 7th. This might be the place where you can get Minnesota.
Well, their bullpen has been suspect a good portion of this year and all of last year.
Outside on a breaking ball, 1-1 from Presley, the former Red Sox pitcher, a Rule 5 draft pick by the Twins 5 years ago. One and 2 on Saladino. Tyler walked and scored in the 2-run 4th inning. Sox were down in this game 6-0 and looking for the equalizer.
Did a good job of checking it up. That was a real hard overhand curveball. Spinning very tightly, so it's difficult to pick up the spin right away. And Tyler went out thinking it was a fastball, checked it up at the very last instant. That's strong hands and wrists, folks, because when you start to check it up as abruptly as he did, if you don't have strong hands and wrists, you're not going to be able to do that.
2-2. Tyler swings through a breaking ball, and that's the first strikeout by a Sox batter since hitter number 3. MLB.com @bat is your #1 mobile app for live White Sox baseball. Stay connected with a fully customizable experience. Get White Sox home screen icons and app features, as well as game day, live game video highlights, radio broadcasts, StatCast, news, and more. Download MLB.com @bat today.
Presley, a Rule 5 draft. And Jason told you it was from the Boston Red Sox. This is one of the Rule 5s that worked out pretty well. He's always had a good arm. Getting the curveball over the plate is usually the key for him. This has been a very difficult year to this point, but Paul Molitor has to keep running those folks out of the bullpen. Guys who had success in the past who are off to a slow start. You got to give them time.
Abreu nearly got hit by that running fastball. 1-1. We've seen Duffy, then Rogers, and Presley tonight deployed by Molitor. He's got 1 lefty remaining in the bullpen. Not that the Sox lineup calls for it. So he set him up with 2 fastballs in. What's next?
Well, I mean, he wasn't trying to miss with both of them. But after catching an early strike, he's missed twice inside. You'd have to believe this one would be going away. We'll see what Jimenez wants. That's the curveball. Let's see how successful he is with it.
On 2-1. He missed inside. 3-1.
Looked like it just might have had the outer edge of the inside corner.
Avi has had another very nice game for himself. After an 0 for 4 2 nights ago and an 0 for in his last game against the Orioles. 3-1 pitch, tying run at the plate. And he threw him a breaking ball.
Yeah, he didn't mind if he walked him. He just didn't want him hitting the ball out of the ballpark. So that shows you how good the curveball is. It's straight 12-6. It's straight over the top and down. It's a hard pitch to command in the zone. But last year, when the entire bullpen was imploding, Presley had a 3.70 ERA and 72 appearances, so he did a good job.
Fastball fouled hard. Boy, he challenged right there. On 3-1, he said, I don't care if I walk you. And 3-2, he hummed one in.
He can throw that fastball in the neighborhood of 95, 96. And that one fouled off. Jimenez wants to go with another fastball. Presley does not want to go with another fastball.
Foul ground and out of play.
That was a slider, and Jose was able to stay alive.
It'll be an 8th pitch to Abreu. Three and two, one down. Jose cues it foul.
Nice battling at bat, because Presley's stuff is pretty good tonight, and Jose has spoiled some very good pitches. Turning it into a 10 pitch at bat.
Three and two, one more time. Presley to Abreu. Fastball got him.
Good velocity upstairs, and he threw it by him. So after a slider and a curveball, he goes back to the heater. Put it in a good spot. Just about let her high.
The 2 down for Avi Garcia. Presley called on to face the 2, 3, and 4 hitters, and he's punched out the first 2. Breaking ball in the dirt starts Garcia, who grounded out to third in the second, doubled to left in the fourth, and singled to left, all 3 to the pull side so far tonight.
Avi's had good luck in a very small amount of at-bats. 5 at-bats against Presley. 2 for 5 with a home run.
Some sharp stuff.
Yeah, curveball's a good one tonight.
One and two.
Well, the stuff that Presley's got tonight, if he can keep this stuff, that ERA over the last couple of years, where it averaged around 340, would be right where it should be. At 8+ ERA, not with the stuff he's throwing tonight. Canely has joined Jennings in the pen.
Another breaking ball. Wipes out the Sox. He strikes out the side, Presley does, and we will go to the 8th.
Lending.com. eClick is located in Chicagoland and is rated A+ by the Better Business Bureau. eClick Lending. Your mortgage just happened. I think that was a mortgage happening.
I think your boom fizzled.
I think I pulled an oblique. And we get a new pitcher coming in the ball game. It's Dan Jennings. So he takes over from Anthony Swarzak, who did what he has been doing, getting everybody out. And Dan Jennings on for the 16th time. He's 2-0. The ERA is a little inflated. The last 2 times out, he's given up a couple of runs each time, and so that accounts for the ERA with a small amount of innings pitched. But overall this year, he's done a nice job, and for the majority of this season, he's been the only left-hander in the pen. Now joined by David Holmberg, so he's got some help as he looks in at Joe Mauer.
Jennings came in the other night in the series opener, got a ground out from Vargas, but then gave up 3 hits before leaving to Rosario, Escobar, and Adrianza. He did not face Mauer. Jennings was out by then. Chris Beck had Mauer in that inning, and Mauer finished with an RBI single in that situation. He takes a ball from Jennings. Career against left-handers, Mauer's slugging percentage is about 100 points worse.
Take a look how they're playing him with Leury Garcia well over into left center. One of the reasons is Joe Mauer has pulled the ball 25% of the time on balls he's put in play. That's second from the bottom. 214 full-time hitters. So all things being equal, he doesn't pull the ball too often.
Hasn't gotten much of a chance to swing here. All 3 pretty well out of the zone. 3-0. Well, we saw Canely warming up. Escobar follows. Then Jimenez. And then you've got another left-hander in Rosario up 4th in the inning. There's a strike. Joe Mauer made his major league debut in 2004, working on a decade and a half in the majors. (3-1) and fouled away. Now 3-2.
That time he got his fastball, it was up, and fortunately it was as high as it was, because he had a good hack at it, fouled it straight back. There's a big reason, the man you're looking at, that the Twins have the lead. His 3-run homer in the first inning capped 4 unearned runs.
Three and 2 from Jennings to Mauer. He got him, strike 3. Nice comeback by Jennings.
That was a big pitch, but it did have the strike zone, and we've told you that Jerry Lane is calling the high strikes, and so Ricky Renteria is coming out. Joe thought it was high and away. Omar looked like he thought it might have been high and away, but it actually had the plate. So that's going to be it for Dan Jennings. Tommy Canely strolling in, and we will stroll out. Time brought to you by Miller Lite, and here is our Miller moment. Eduardo Escobar taking it way out. 3-run bomb, capping a 4-run first. And the Twins have never relinquished the lead. Hyundai call to the pen is Tommy Kahnle. .82 ERA, 0-1 record, 21 strikeouts in 11 innings. He's been remarkable. He's only walked 2. Opponent's hitting just 162 against him, and he's got to deal with 2 outs to get here in the 8th inning and turn it over to the offense.
He will face Eduardo Escobar first. And his first pitch is fouled away. Tommy Kahnle, who was the subject of a story on the website Fangraphs a couple of weeks ago, entitled "The White Sox Have Had One of the Best Pitchers on the Planet." And it was referring to Tommy Kahnle, who at that point had walked 1 batter. Now he's walked all of 2. He's throwing harder than he has before.
You can hardly be any better than he's been. And really the key is not the fastball, because he routinely last year threw it anywhere from 98 to 100 when he went back to get his good fastball. But he couldn't throw it for a strike consistently. Now he's got a straight change to go with it, and he's throwing everything in the zone. It's been a remarkable turnaround, and here comes that changeup. Well, Eduardo rained on his changeup parade, so now here comes the changeup.
A little slower down the street than your average parade. 0-2 in the dirt.
A little harder change than he's been throwing. He's been throwing a changeup at 88, 89. That time he got it up there at 92 and had no feel for it, at least on the first one.
One, 2. Check swing, ball low. No go. So Tommy Kahnle, who struck out 25 last year and walked 20, with the 21 strikeouts, 2 walks this year.
It's been absolutely remarkable. And it was a well-deserved story, because with the start he's had this year and the stuff he's thrown, he probably is the best unknown pitcher in baseball, because people didn't think he'd get the ball over.
Up high, 3-2. Escobar's worked it full. Jimenez, the catcher, would be next if he's not taken down for some reason. And that's ball 4. Kahnle walks Escobar. Family Sundays feature tickets as low as $5 in the upper level, $15 in the lower level, and parking for only $10. Plus special kid-focused activities located throughout the ballpark. Family Sundays, proudly presented by Coca-Cola. Visit whitesox.com/Sundays to purchase your tickets today.
A couple of fans with White Sox baseball bats and the Southside Hitmen t-shirts, and a young lady with a glove is ready to go.
Those are the Southside Hit Boys.
They are. Jimenez got on top of a high fastball, which is not an easy thing to do. Fortunately, he hit it foul.
How about a double play ground ball? What do you think?
Got the right guy up. If he can hit a ground ball, it will be 2.
He did last time to third. There is the changeup.
Well, that's back to a speed again, and what speed can tell you is the 2 changeups that he threw in the previous at bat were 92 and 93. This was 88. It's by far and away his best pitch when it's 88 to 89 miles an hour, and he's got command of it at that velocity.
That was very close. Folks at home might be saying, what's the difference? 2-3 miles an hour.
Big difference, because you want, if you're looking for variance between your changeup and your fastball, the ideal differential is 11 miles an hour. So throwing 99, which he throws, 88 is the perfect speed. That doesn't give a hitter chance to keep his hands back and still hit the baseball.
And he goes down. Jimenez set aside by Canely.
Another change, and this time he couldn't check it out. Nice catch by Omar. Not what you'd recommend, but if he goes out to get it, turns out to be a pretty good catch. Only thing is, you go out that far to get one of those, you risk catcher's interference.
No such luck for Minnesota there. It'll be Rosario with 2 out, top of the 8th. Sox on the comeback trail all night long. That's in the air to right field. It's a long way to go for Avi, and it's foul.
Well, hopefully he's going to be okay, because he took the late slide, and there's not a whole lot of room between the stands and the foul line. He comes over, he sees exactly where he is, knows that he's got to get down quickly, and look, would have been a wonderful play to make, but realistically it's best to come away and have everything intact after the slide. Good effort. He'll have a bruise.
Avi's got the glove back on. Rosario now on 1 strike from Canely. Escobar not running. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Matt Belisle, the venerable Matt Belisle, who seemingly has been with every team in the league, getting ready to go in the pen.
He had a rough go of it over the weekend. Part of that 10-run 9th inning for Boston. As Rosario pumps it foul. Belisle was a 1998 draft pick.
He'd been around a while, but because of his durability, continues to get a job. He had 80 appearances back in 2012 with Colorado, then 72 the next year, 76 and 74 the previous 2 years, so he will take the baseball.
Down goes Rosario. Strike 3. Canely used the changeup very effectively after the walk, and the Sox need 1 or 2.
the way that Ryan Presley was throwing it, and he hasn't thrown it very well this year, but the way he was throwing it tonight, you're kind of happy to see him leave the ball game in favor of Matt Belisle. And Max Kepler comes in the ball game defensively.
The veteran Belisle against Todd Frazier. 1-run game. And there's a high fly ball giving Kepler a chance right in for out number 1. Told you Belisle has been around quite a long time. His debut came on September 7th of 2003. And he threw a couple of innings. His first inning, he did not give up a run. His second inning, he gave up his first major league hit. That first major league hit he allowed was a home run to the Cardinals. The hitter was Mike Matheny, who's currently the manager of the Cardinals.
Well, Mike certainly has fond memories because he didn't hit that many home runs. So he has to feel real good about Matt Belisle.
Who faces Davidson. Matt Davidson, a home run on a high pitch in the 6th inning as they shift him. Now 2-0 on Davidson. If he gets a cookie of a fastball, we could have ourselves a tie game. That's ball 3, and here's what Matt did in the 6th.
He got on top of a high fastball. 104 miles an hour. Launch angle 34.3 degrees. And that was a towering home run.
Now 3-1. Tim Anderson, who's got 2 hits tonight, is next.
There was a time way back in 2007 where Matt Belisle was a starting pitcher for Cincinnati. 30 starts he had, an 8-8 record. Just a few assorted starts after that, mostly out of the bullpen. And he's walked the potential tying run.
It's Davidson with 1 out and Anderson coming up. Question is, do you think about maybe pinch running here?
Yes, absolutely. It's Yolmer. So Davidson taken down. Yolmer carrying with him the tying run is the pinch runner.
I do like the situation where you say yes to a question I haven't posed yet.
No, I knew where you were going.
Well, that could set me up very well.
In the 20 years we broadcast together, I knew that you were thinking about that pinch runner.
Next time I'm going to ask for $1 million.
Ooh, I better hold off on the answer.
Sanchez at first, 1 down. Now that you have the new toy over at first to give a spin, what do you do with Sanchez here?
To start with, nothing. I don't run him right away. He doesn't have the really great speed. Right around an average lead at first base. Yolmer has tried to steal 3 bases, been successful 1 time.
Fans don't agree with the decision by Belisle to throw to first.
But one of the things you have to bear in mind is he leads the team in wild pitches. Granted, it's only 2 of them, but anything in the dirt, you got to get a good secondary lead.
Long hold, and now he steps off. Thousands of folks are double parked
and roundly booing Matt Belisle.
Tim Anderson, who has had a long, trying, emotional week, trying to let it all out here. And he takes one in the dirt. Nicely stopped by Jimenez. Tim Anderson, we mentioned, lost a childhood friend this week. Brandon Moss is his name, and you see the B. Moss written on Tim's cap out in the field. So a lot hanging over the head of the young Sox shortstop, trying to put it aside in a key spot here in the 8th inning tonight. Fouled away.
I like the fact that Ricky put on the hit and run. Yolmer was going. Tim was trying to make some contact. Breslow, the left-hander. Kinsler, their closer, the right-hander.
I think Breslow would be for Narvaez next.
I would think that's, yeah, pretty good possibility.
Sanchez at first, the pinch runner, 1-1. Tim sprays it foul.
Tried it again, the hit and run. So now, if you're the base runner at first base, what you're telling yourself is on a 1-2 count, Belisle will probably go to a breaking ball trying to erase a very aggressive, free-swinging young hitter. If that's the case and you've got a good secondary lead, anything in the dirt, and you're standing at second base.
1-2. Sanchez does not run. It's a high fastball. 2-2.
That one way out of the zone.
Sanchez back.
Belisle goes to first a little more slowly than most. He gets it over there and he's making accurate throws to first base, but he's very deliberate as he goes to first.
Tim Anderson, who was 10 when Belisle made his major league debut, awaiting a 2-2 from the veteran, and it's outside and low, a breaking ball. 3-2.
Well, for Ricky Renteria, the question is, you've tried 2 hit and runs. Now you have a 3-2 count. I'm thinking he sends Yolmer. We'll have to see.
Sox were down 6-0 in this game. Anderson cracks it foul. Sanchez was off.
He's been trying to go to that vacated right side because Dozier's been covering at second base. And with Mauer holding Sanchez close, there's a whole lot of room on that right side, especially if he stays away.
Which he has for the most part against Tim Anderson. 3 balls, 2 strikes. That is outside. It's ball 4. Throw doesn't matter. The Sox have 2 on via the walk with 1 down.
And here comes Paul Molitor. So he's already gone to the pen. Omar will come up, but he's going to go. ERA of 2.70. He's not a strikeout pitcher. He's one of the few really good closers that is not going to strike you out. Most sinker ballers are not strikeout pitchers. It's just kind of the way it goes. They depend on guys hitting the top of the baseball and throwing ground balls. And that was on the mind of Paul Molitor. The young lady already knows how to deal with a selfie.
Doing it herself this time. How about that?
Well, it is her phone. But they have an all-inclusive plan.
She's actually trading stocks. You don't see it on our camera there, but that's what's going on.
Never too early to go into natural gas futures.
Kinsler doesn't want to hear about kerosene or petroleum or anything with 2 on and 1 out in the 8th inning. Sox trying to finish the comeback trail. Now she's bugging for our camera.
Well, she's looking at herself, which is a good thing.
That's what it's all about. And that smile will grow if Omar can come through here in the 8th inning. A double to right in the 5th and a run scored, a ground out and a sac bunt. Sanchez at second, Anderson at first. And strike 1 from Kinsler.
Yomer's got to be careful because Polanco was jockeying behind him and then looked at Kinsler as if to say, I might be able to get behind this guy.
In the dirt and blocked by Jimenez.
Well, that's a big play because if he lets that one get by him, there's runners at second and third. He backhanded. Looked like it might have hit the front part of the plate, but he kept it in front of him.
You see a lot of fastballs from Kinsler. 84% fastballs this year. 14% sliders. 1-1. Up and out. We've seen Kinsler this year at times, even against the Sox, specifically struggle with his command.
Well, that's the danger when you have a closer who's not a blazer but a sinker ball closer, because if you don't get him consistent work, he's going to be too strong. And instead of a good sinker, you're going to get waist high or higher fastballs. That's not his game.
Omar might have helped him out just a little bit there. 2-2. Kinsler last threw 6 days ago. He's given up at least a run in 3 straight outings.
Well, that 6-day wait to pitch probably making the ball stay up a little higher than he would like.
And another visit from Jimenez to Kinsler.
Well, Chris knows that the ball isn't sinking, and so he's going out there to tell him that you probably feel real good right now, but might want to take just a little something off that slider or move the ball back in his fingers, which will decrease the velocity. So if he stays on top, the ball will still sink, but it won't come in at 94.
Sanchez at second, Anderson at first. 1 out. Sox were down 6-0. In the dirt, there go the runners, second and third.
Jimenez got lucky with a backhand the last time. This time he could not keep the ball in front of him, and the tying and go-ahead runs in scoring position. That's very poor technique to try to block a pitch that could be one of the biggest pitches of the ball game. That's the second time he's backhanded him. First time it worked. That time
it got away. When you backhand the ball, instead of leaning forward, smothering it, and angling your body to keep it in front of you, it bounds away.
So infield in now for Minnesota. 3-2 on Narvaez, who has a great handle on the strike zone, and another visit from Jimenez to Kinsler, who's twisting in the wind.
They're not going to go with a sign here. That's why he went out there. And Dozier wants to know what's coming, because he wants to know where to set up. They're still going to be in close.
Three balls, two strikes. Omar went after it, strike three. A rare chase from Narvaez, and 2 down.
Omar normally has such a good command of the strike zone that this is somewhat surprising, but it's a sinker. And this one blocked nicely by Jimenez. That's the technique he was looking for on the pitch before. He looks at third and then gets the out.
So now Garcia, who's got a hit in 4 straight games. He's 6 for his last 15. Sanchez at third. Anderson at second. They both walked. Ball 1. Sanchez, the pinch runner for Davidson. They advanced, he and Anderson, on the wild pitch just moments ago. Strike call. Good pitch.
Rosario in fairly close in left field, and he's got a good arm. Kepler has an accurate arm. It's not overwhelming. It's good in right field. And Buxton has a very good arm in center. That one almost dehorned Melky. That's one thing you have to be aware of if you're going to be in the on-deck circle, is a scalding line drive hit right back toward you. David throwing in the pen.
Kinsler against Garcia. Second and third, 2 out. Lead run at second. And it will stay there. Strike 3 called. Kinsler runs it over. And the inning comes to an end. 7-6 Minnesota at the end of 8 as we take a look at our upcoming schedule presented by Travel Wisconsin, who reminds you to have some fun. Plan your trip today at travelwisconsin.com. 3 more with San Diego here at home, and then the road trip begins. 3 in Anaheim, 4 in Seattle, and 3 in Arizona. The West Coast swing for the Sox early in the season this year. The Sox still short on home games, just 12 entering tonight, which was tied with the Indians for the fewest in Major League Baseball. So Belial has his bacon saved by Kinsler, and David Robertson checks in for the Sox.
On for the 11th time. He's 1-0. 2.53 ERA, 15 strikeouts in 10 2/3. Things are going well for David Robertson, who would like to get a little more work. He says ideally 3, possibly as many as 4 times a week would be ideal. Probably 3 over the long haul would be ideal for him.
It looked like at the start of this game that he wouldn't be in anything resembling a close game, because Minnesota hopped out to an early lead with a 4-run first inning and then 2 runs in the second. But the Sox started their comeback in the 4th inning, and it was this drop by Buxton that the door creaked open for. So Buxton drops the ball. Run comes home. Davidson an RBI ground down, and that got the second run in the 4th inning. Off to the 5th we went, where it was Melky Cabrera's laser that got the Sox to 5. A 3-run shot with Narvaez and Garcia on. Then Matt Davidson with a parabola to left field on a high fastball. And the Sox drew within 1. They had a chance in the 6th inning. The sac bunt got the runner to second. Advanced Anderson to third on the fly ball. Couldn't get him in. In the 7th inning, Presley strikes out the side. Then in the 8th, 2 walks, but then 2 strikeouts. Kinsler slammed the door as Sanchez comes in to play third for Matt Davidson. Sanchez pinch ran for him in the bottom of the 8th.
They're in tight at the corners, trying to take the bunt away from Buxton, who usually doesn't think much about bunting.
Two strikes on Buxton, who got a tutorial very recently from Torrey Hunter. Came for batting practice, gave him some extra tips. Check swing, he did go, and nice play by Omar to send him away.
Nice play by Jose on the back end of this, and the big break was that Buxton didn't run. If he runs right out of the box, he's going to make it, but he stands there. By the time he does take off, the break was that it bounced right back to Omar, and then a good pick on the other end by Jose. That was an in-between hop. He was able to secure the baseball and get the out, and a big out it was.
Dozier, and that one caught Jerry Lane, the plate umpire.
That got him just high on the chest, just below the throat, and a bit under the mask. And he's feeling the effects of that. This is where the umpires are very vulnerable. Ooh, no, it did not. I thought it got him in the mask, got him just below the chest protector. Omar did a nice job of going out to the mound to give Jerry a chance to regroup.
The time-honored tradition of everyone in the park knows exactly what's going on, but just out of courtesy, you go out to the mound.
You have to. The umpire will do it for the catcher. Catchers do it for the umpire.
That's a good tight breaking ball from David. 2 strikes.
That was completely different than his normal curveball, which is a little bit up higher. That one swept well out of the zone, and Dozier went after it anyway.
Dozier was asking Jerry Lane if he was all right. Still 0-2. Sox in the bottom of the 9th will have the top of the order. Melky, Tyler, and Jose. That's strike 3. It was right down the middle.
Well, there's a case of just getting outguessed. Dozier, who's a dead fastball hitter, probably thinking, look, I've seen 3 curveballs in a row. He's got to throw me another hook. Well, Brian, it's not. It's a fastball right down the middle, and there's not much you can do when you get outguessed. Just take a seat.
2 out. Max Kepler, the batter, in for Grossman as a defensive replacement in the 8th. Kepler did not get the start tonight with the left-hander Holland on the mound. Derek went 5 innings, gave up 7 runs, 3 earned. dinged by the defense in the first inning. Sox got a ground ball that looked like it was going to be a double play off the bat of Polanco, and Abreu just dropped the ball over at first, which led to 4 runs coming home in the first inning. Minnesota tacked on 2 in the second, and the Sox have stormed back within a run.
David's stuff has been very good in the early portion of this season. Particularly good when he tries to throw that curveball backdoor to left-handers. Let's see if that's what Omar wants. There it was.
Fortunately,
he didn't swing at it, because that time they wouldn't have gotten him, as that one bounded well away.
Somewhere on 28th Street right now.
Huge break in this inning is when Buxton could not locate the ball after he swung and missed. Gave Omar a chance to get it and throw him out.
2-2. There's a swing and a miss for strike 3. Another breaking ball, and Robertson strikes out the side. He and Canely have struck out the last 5. The offense gets it with the top of the card after this. In flight on the way here, San Diego with Chacin tomorrow, Gonzalez for the Sox in game 1.
Miguel off to a great start, and hopefully that continues tomorrow against the struggling Padres.
Still some business to do tonight. Cabrera, Saladino, Abreu in the Sox 9th, down a run, down 6 after 1.5 tonight. And Melky shows a bunt to take ball 1. Brandon Kinsler with a pair of important strikeouts of Narvaez and Garcia to close out the 8th with 2 on. And now trying to seal it. He's been outside twice. Melky, 3 ground balls and a 3-run homer tonight.
Now Melky's going to get a fastball and a very good pitch to hit at 2-0.
Down Broadway, strike 1. Kinsler figuring Melky's pretty selective. Waved it by, 2-1. 2-2.
That was a straight change, and he had Melky well out in front. So after 3 straight fastballs, he throws him the change. Good release point, good arm velocity, and turned out to be a very good pitch.
It's not normally part of the scouting report big time on Kinsler. The changeup on the ground left side. Sano just under the wire for out number 1.
When you've got an arm like Sano has, you can wait till the guy's a step away and the baseball will still beat him at first base. He has got a cannon for an arm. He can take his time, and then he just pours it across. And Melky was really close to the bag when Sano let it go, but you can't outrun that arm.
Suspended for game 1 of this series. A big part of game 2 with a solo homer, 2 walks, 2 runs scored. Now Saladino trying to get on for Abreu. Strike 1. At the very least here, you've got Abreu coming up as the tying run with 2 out, at the very least.
Yep. And if he keeps it alive, you've got Avi up behind it.
That's a good pitch. Even if it's not called a strike.
Yeah, I mean, he threw it where he wanted to. He wanted to shave off the outside corner, and that's exactly where he got it.
Oh, 0-2. That's outside. Can't blame a guy for trying to go back after that corner.
And a good 0-2 pitch because he threw it just off the corner, just wide enough so that it wasn't on the plate, but close enough so it was tempting.
One, 2. It's down low. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Couple of breaking balls, a fastball there. Where does he go? 2-2.
Well, if he's got confidence in the sinker, not the sinker, but confidence in the changeup, it's a good pitch here. He's going with the outside sinker, however.
Called strike 3. That was closer to ball 3 than strike 3, but he gets the call. 2 down.
Tyler thought it was off the plate. Jimenez thought it was off the plate, or he wouldn't have yanked it back in the zone, but apparently too close to take. And a big second out. So now the outfield will get as deep as you can get and still stay in the ballpark in a no double set.
Ball 1 to Jose. Sox now with 6 of their last 8 outs in this game. Strikeouts after just 2 in the first 6 innings. That's a strike. Kinsler has gotten the benefit of a bunch of close calls to the last 2 batters.
If you're going to be around the plate, you're going to get those. And Jerry Lane, pretty decent night behind the plate. That was one of the few low strikes he's called. He has called them up in the zone.
Ball and a strike. Abreu, a laser to right field, right at Kepler, and that's all she wrote tonight. The Sox get as close as you can without getting even, and Minnesota rides a 6-0 lead to a 7-6 win.
One of the things I talked to Ricky Renteria about after that last series was his ball club and the philosophy that he's trying to impart. And what he said was, against a good team, we have to play a clean game. Tonight, the boys did not play a clean game. It cost them 4 early, and that was at the end of the ball game. The margin of victory was that first inning. So they came back. That shows character. A little short, however.
7-6 your final score. Minnesota leaves town. San Diego is in tomorrow. Fireworks tomorrow, fireworks Saturday as well. For our director, Jim Angio, the award-winning director, Our producer, Keon Dolachahi, associate producer, Dave Ross, tech manager, Mark Harper, and the executive producer, Jim Corno Jr. He's Steve Stone. I'm Jason Benetti, saying so long on behalf of our entire crew from Guaranteed Rate Field. Coming up next, Subaru Postgame Live. You've been watching Chicago White Sox baseball on CSN. Talk to you tomorrow.